Hey, good afternoon. This is Rebecca here from Austin. So I'm excited to come to you live for our second week of our new business series. Really excited to share with you some of the practical things I've learned along the way of becoming an entrepreneur. If you missed last week, or week one, it is on my website at RebeccaContreras.com. You can go to the live business series webinar and download week one and watch it. It's only 20 minutes and I talk about reinventing from employee to entrepreneur. This is week two and today we're going to talk about knowledge is power. I believe firmly that in order to be successful as a business, you've got to gain the fundamentals of what I call the one-on-one basics on how to begin to start your business. Later in the series, we'll be talking about branding, we'll be talking about partnership and how to scale and grow. But today, I thought it was important to focus on this piece of knowledge is power because it's so important that before you jump in and start your business, you have the necessary knowledge and the tools available to you in order to be successful. As I mentioned, I started my business 13 years ago and didn't know the first thing about how to be an entrepreneur or run a business, but learned so much in my journey and I want to share that knowledge with you. So there are so many elements to acquiring knowledge and starting your business, but in the interest of time, today I'm going to focus on the top three of what I call the fundamentals of ensuring that you start right on the right foot. And keep in mind, this isn't all inclusive, but for me, it's the top three. And so the number one thing is to determine your business capability. So it's so important for you to go into this with your head straight around what are you going to be best at? What are you going to thrive at in terms of differentiating yourself in the market that you're going into? What industry you're going in? Are you going to offer a service? Are you going to offer a product? What does that need to look like in terms of your particular capability? My capability, I decided as an expert in HR, and I grew my career in government and to become an expert in the field of HR, human capital. I decided to start a capability-based firm that was services-based that would offer what I call cradle-to-grave services around human capital, which is HR, around organizational assessment, strategy, business process, and also around IT. And I'll be talking a lot about that next week when I talk about partnership. But it was important for me because I was known in the industry, in the government sector in particular, around the capability and the knowledge that I possessed in HR. It was important to me to ensure that I stick true to my capabilities. I didn't try to come up with something I wasn't good at. I didn't try to, add a ton of capabilities to my portfolio that I thought I could maybe learn, but I stuck to what I knew I was really good at. And it's so important to stay in your lane on where your gifts, where your talents, and where your knowledge base is. Because when you stay in your lane, you're going to be really honed in on what that capability is. Now, that doesn't mean you have to only focus on that, and I'll share with you how I did that with the IT capability. But you can add to that capability later as you grow and as you learn and as you expand, or you can bring in a partnership. Next week, we'll be talking about the importance of partnership that augments your particular capability, but it's important to stay in your lane. So capability, service, many of you know I also started a salsa business a few years back. My husband and I both started Spicy Mama Salsa. I was really good everywhere I went. When I brought salsa to parties or when I hosted dinners, people rant and raved about Rebecca Salsa. And so one day my husband had this brainiac idea that he wanted to start a salsa business and he wanted me to produce my salsa. He labeled it, he branded it, he came up with a neat concept around the salsa that gives back, and we had a portion of our profits going to our community work. And, it was very successful. It was very unique, very good. And I knew I was good at making salsa, and David's idea was to start the salsa business, and we did that. We had it it was a lot of fun too. We had it in about 13 stores in Austin. And after about the third year, we moved into the fourth year. We really saw that it wasn't making a profit margin. So I was also running Avant-Garde and making my salsa. And I decided, you know, we're not really yielding profit on this. It's too much of a distraction. We'll just shut it down. And we did shut it down. But once again, it was what I was good at. So if you do start a business, make sure that you are in your sweet lane, that you are focusing on what you're good at, and that you are honing in on your expertise and what you think the market will pay for in terms of what you bring to the table. So that's number one. Number two in the top three is the structure of your business. Listen, structure matters. And for those of you out there that are that don't like, you know, operating agreements and financials and structure and lawyers, all of that, you're probably not cut out for business, because you have to know your structure. It has to be solid. You have to go into it with the right structure. You have to do your research. I actually have found, as I started my business, LegalZoom.com is an incredible resource. It's available to so many small business owners already that use it, that basically cover what I call the all things one-on-one in business, and it's very useful. Also today, I didn't have this 13 years ago, but today we have Chat GPT, we have AI, we have so much knowledge out there we can leverage to do the research and make sure that we understand the right structure. The type of business, in terms of the legal structure you're going to have, is important. There are regulatory factors. For instance, with the government consulting business I own today, I had to have certain certifications. I had to understand, if I was going to operate in certain states, what the rules around hiring and the rules around infrastructure were, where to incorporate. I'm incorporated currently in Texas and in Maryland. So those regulatory factors are important. Do your homework around the regulatory factors. There's a lot of content on the internet for you to do that. With the salsa business, when I started that, David and I started that business, we had to look at co-packing. You know, what are the rules around co-packing if we're gonna take our salsa mezcal so we could have it in the 13 stores, and we need to make it in hundreds and hundreds of bottles or thousands. You know, what do we need to do if we're going to hire a co-packer? What are the rules around that? And so super important to get your content and your knowledge in your head so that you can then be successful with that regulatory process. The third around this terms of the right structure your business is your entity formation, right? So are you going to incorporate? Are you going to be a sole proprietor? Do you want an LLC? Will you be an S Corp, a C Corp, a nonprofit? All of those things in the right incorporation structure are hugely important to begin. Now, I always recommend to small business owners that start from scratch, and at the beginning, just start as a sole proprietor, especially if it's only you and you're trying to sell your brand or capability or a product. Start by filing that DBA with the Secretary of State. You're gonna file basically how you're gonna do business as is DBA. So you want to file that, and then, you know, get it going. And once you need to form a different structure like an LLC or an S Corp or a C Corp, you can actually engage a lawyer to do that. I always recommend, you know, don't just file an LLC because you want a business and you think the LLC is better. Like, really understand why you want to own an LLC. There are a lot of tax issues around how you file, you know, in terms of regulatory tax oversights that you have to adhere to, depending on how you file. For instance, if you're an LLC, you have to pay distributions. If you're an S Corp, you can pay yourself a salary. There's all sorts of different things. LegalZoom.com is the best place for you to learn these regulatory factors. The other thing is, if you have a partner, listen, if you have a partner or partners, you have to have an operating agreement. The operating agreement, and you can get it on LegalZoom.com, the template, and fill it out. And even hire a lawyer on an hourly basis to review your operating agreement before you execute it. They're going to lay out things like roles and responsibilities, who's going to do what. So there's clarity, especially if you have a partner. You don't want to be tripping over each other. You want clarity in how you guys are going to operate. And we're going to talk next week, when we talk about partnership or not partnership, the pros and cons of that and what it means to ensure that you have a solid partnership out of the gate. Okay, so number three, so again, we talked about the top three. It's determine your business capability, determine your business structure. Number three, I'm going to spend a lot of time on this one, financial plan. How much do you need in order to branch out? Are you going to start part-time and keep your full-time job and kind of straddle it where you're doing a little bit of business on the side, but you still have the income, you still have the benefits so you can feed your family and pay your bills? Are you going to just jump out and take that leap of faith and just start your business full-time and go all in? Can you have the financial infrastructure to do that? And do you have the financial infrastructure to go all in right away? I can't tell you how many business owners I meet that literally leave their jobs and start their business, and after, year one, they're struggling because they can't pay their bills and they can't feed their families, and they're already facing the insurmountable failure of not having money to do just the basics. I'm really big around a really methodical strategy to plan ahead and do it right so you don't get yourself in the hole. So there are 3 top expenses when you think of a financial plan and you put that together, and there are a lot of good tools in using AI and or LegalZoom.com. You can do a business plan, you can do a financial plan. But there are 3 top expenses I want you to think about when you do this financial plan. Number 1, there's startup costs. What is it going to take to start your business and those startup costs? What are those factors? You're going to need a website. You're going to need social media. You're going to need product production. You're going to need a capability statement. If you're offering, like me, a capability around human capital, HR, IT strategy, you want to put that together so you have what you call your capability. You're going to need things like cash flow projections, cash flow projections for your business. What are you going to need up front? What are the things you're going to have to account for in the business? Where are you in projections of year 1, 2, and 3? So I have been, over the years, mentored, business women, and I was mentoring a businesswoman last year, a few years back, that said to me, "Oh, I don't like all those financials. I just want to do my thing because I love what I'm doing. I just want to do my business. And, I don't even know. I don't like QuickBooks. I don't like financials. I just want to do my business." And I said to her, you need to learn financials. You need to learn how to read a QuickBooks statement. You need to learn how to read an Excel spreadsheet of put together projections. You need to look at profit and loss. You need to understand that. Don't go into business without having any understanding that you're going to have to learn it. And listen, math was my worst subject. I'm a high school dropout. I only have a GED, and I was in the class back in the day, fundamentals of math, 1 + 1 is 2. There's no one that was more ill-equipped to do financials than me, but I took the bull by the horns. I learned it. I took classes online. I became an expert at Excel, took some Excel classes, and I forced myself to learn how to put a financial plan together, how to budget, how to stay debt-free, all the things you're going to need to do as a business owner. I'm all for experts and for engaging the right CPA, the right accountant, but do not outsource knowledge. Knowledge needs to be in your head for your enablement and your empowerment. And you acquire as much knowledge as possible in order to, you don't need to be an expert, but you need to learn the basics of financial planning. And if anybody can do it, I did it, you can do it, and you have the ability to learn it. There's a saying that people say, square peg, round hole. You can't put a square peg in a round hole. And I'll never be a financial person. You can't make me do it. Well, everybody has the ability to acquire the fundamental knowledge of financial planning. And so certainly engage the experts, but make sure you know what you are doing. It is so essential to ensure that you have the knowledge to manage your own finances and put your financial plan together. My rule of thumb is, if you have a passion for something you want to do in business, but you don't care for the financials and want to sub that out to someone else, you should probably take a little bit of a pause and really find a way to get the passion for it, or get some sort of knowledge around it. And then you can, again, as you're successful, engage your experts, but never outsource it all the way until you know your own financial plan. According to the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, 82% of small businesses fail in the U.S. due to cash flow and improper management of the financial plan and funding. 82%. So don't be in that 82%. You want to be in the counter of that. And again, I'm proof to the pudding that it can be done. When you have a zero-based knowledge, you can learn it. So the other thing is plan for profit. If you're in business, you need to have profit. You should yield profit in the business. It's so important to understand profitability is key to being a business owner. Now, you may not make profit for the first few years, and that's okay. You want to plan that in, but you need to reevaluate after year 1, year 2, year 3. If you are in year 4 and you're still not making any profit and you're negative, then you need to pivot and evaluate, what do I need to do different? It's so important to be profitable. And I again was mentoring another businesswoman, and I remember her telling me years ago, well, I'm really profitable. And I said, oh, really? Let's look at your financials. I sat down with her and looked at her financials, super excited to help her run through that. And then I saw that she was not paying herself a salary, but she was profitable. So I said to her, you know, you're not really profitable because you're full-time in the business and you need to be paying yourself a salary. Your salary and expenses come out of your profit. So pay yourself a salary and then look at what your profit is. And when she did that, she realized she really was not profitable. She was negative. And so important to understand. You have to look at salaries. You have to look at expenses, and then everything after you pay your team, your brand, your employees, your marketing, your own salary, then all of that then is profit, and that's what you're going to be paying taxes on. So there are a lot of sort of industry standard barometers and factors when you look at a success of a business. One of them is profit. I'm very blessed and thankful that we are profitable. We've worked really hard at Avant-Garde on staying debt-free and staying profitable, and it's been a discipline that I have employed, my partner and I, like at nausea. But it's important to look at the other factors of success. So it's revenue, it's growth, it's customer satisfaction, and that customer satisfaction will lead to new customers. It's sustainability, it's market share, it's things like, you know, really looking at the market and the factors that contribute to your success. So when you're evaluating, doing your plan again at year 1, at year 2, at year 3, and you're looking at your whole financial picture, you want to look at those indicators as well, not just profit, but all those other business indicators in terms of success factors. So there are 3 sources of funding that you can look at. There's self-funding, so it's money you have in the bank that you want to invest in yourself. You can take out a loan, whether it's a business loan or an SBA loan or a partner loan or somebody that loans you money. Or you can have an investor and people family and friends that financially invest. I was talking to another businesswoman in Austin that I was coaching a couple of weeks ago, and she said to me, you know, we're in year 3, we've put our sweat and equity, we've spent everything we can into the business, and we're at the point where we now need investors, and if we don't get investors, we're going to shut down. She has worked so hard on her brand and on her particular product. And it just broke my heart to hear that after year 3 of all that sweat equity and all that investment that she's facing the brink of shutdown. So I gave her some counsel and, you know, told her I will tell you, when you start looking at crowdfunding or investors, angel investors, I had 3 businesswomen last year that said, where can I find an angel investor? Angel investors are really hard to find. And when investors give you money, they're going to want something for it. Usually it's equity. Usually it's some sort of stock options and or a high percentage loan that will pay them. And so you always want to look, when you get an investor on your team, you're going to have to give up something for that. And it's important for you to be willing to give that up. Sometimes you got to sacrifice the give up in order to scale up. And don't always look at it, oh my God, I don't want to give away equity, or I don't want to give away stocks because I don't want to have anybody, you know, that's overseeing me or on my back. Sometimes, depending on how you want to scale, you have to be willing to give something up. So utilize the free resources that are out there for you in terms of what you need and what you're getting. SBA.gov. SBA has women's centers all over the country. They have about 152 women's centers in every state. Look up the Business Women's Center on SBA.gov, and it'll connect you to the Business Women's Centers. It's all free. It's important for you to get what you need. I had to do that early on. SBA was a huge strategy of success factor for my business. I got certified as a women-owned business, got certified as a minority disadvantaged business, utilized the Women's Business Center hub and council, and you know, all of that content and knowledge is going to be super important for you to utilize. So what I did personally in terms of my financial plan is I took out a very small loan from my partner, and David and I got really disciplined. We looked at our bills at the time that I left my full-time job to start Avant-Garde 13 years ago. I was making more money than I had ever made working for someone else and building their business, but I had no equity and no ownership. So I decided to bite the bullet and leave a very high-paying job with 401k match and benefits. David and I sat down and we did our bills, and we're like, okay, what can we cut our bills down to bare minimum in order to live and just pay our bills, cut our travel, cut our eating out, cut our entertainment. And we did that, and we made those hard decisions, and then saved a little money and also borrowed a loan, and in turn gave my partner some equity for the loan. And I was very disciplined during those 3 years. I paid the loan back within 3 years. We were 100% debt-free as a company, and I was really disciplined to grow the business organically but smartly. Did not get in a ton of debt. I know that sometimes you have to get in debt, and you want to have good debt, not bad debt, and that could be a whole topic, but make sure that you are setting a goal to operate in the black and be disciplined on minimizing your spending. Not only personal spending in your home because you're a business owner and all of that home extra cash will help you, but also your business. So there's lots more to learn, but I want to sum up what we talked about today. The top 3 is determine your business capability or product. Stay true to that lane. Don't get distracted. Do not become all things to all people in your small business. I see so many businesses do that, and they lose their focus, and all of a sudden you can't define what they're doing. Stay true to your capability and your product. Ensure your plan is the proper infrastructure, and have a solid financial plan. So super important to do those things. I want to leave you with 3 action steps. Out of this particular seminar, you want to join the local Chamber of Commerce, leverage the resources, go to SBA.gov, look at the Women's Centers, be a part of the Women's Center resource that's available to you. Number 2, secure and counsel with about 2 to 3 people that you trust before you branch out and start your business. Do your homework, do your counsel. Make sure you cover those 3 fundamental elements that I shared early on in the live series. And then number 3, begin to map out your plan. And listen, you don't have to do it tomorrow, but if you know you want to be an entrepreneur, maybe it's going to take you a year, maybe it's going to take you 6 months, maybe it's going to take you 2 years to leave your job. But try to make sure that you are doing the right thing to not put yourself in a hole so that you're successful, because you don't need the stress of having to figure out not only how to start and scale your business, but how you're going to pay your bills. I see that happen so many. And remember that stat I gave you from the U.S. Chamber of Commerce, 82% of American businesses fail for 2 reasons: because they don't have the financial plan and they don't have the right cash flow. So anyway, I hope this has been helpful to you. Join me next week, next Thursday, same time, same place, 12:30 Central. We're going to be talking about the power of partnership. Do you go solo? Do you partner? And we have another 5 weeks left of this series. I hope you enjoyed it. If you do, share it out. You can go to RebeccaContreras.com and listen to week 1 and share out this business series with your network. And Godspeed to all you do. Thank you.